On the hotline, ladies and gentlemen, friend of the program, been with us before from ColoradoRisingAction.org, Executive Director Michael Fields. Michael, welcome to the program, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Jimmy. It's good to be on with you.
Great to have you on, Michael. It's really unbelievable that House Bill 1257, if we overpay, you have too much withdrawn from your checks or whatever, Colorado Democrats say you're basically saying you want to make a donation to the state and you can't have anything else back. Where are we at? It's passed the House. What happens now with House Bill 1257?
Yeah, so really, Tabor does two things for the listeners who aren't as familiar with it. Tabor basically, on one side, it says that you can vote on tax increases, so that's why, we see these tax increases over and over that we've rejected the last 6 statewide tax increases on the ballot. But that's why we are allowed to, or we are forced to vote on this because we don't trust, the state legislators raising our taxes, that we get a say in that, which is good. The other half of it is that government can only grow population plus inflation growth each year. And if it goes beyond that, we get refunds. We get money back because that is the limit that we put on government. Now this bill would take that refund money and take it towards what they say is education and transportation. But it's just a slush fund because they could change that at any point. There's nothing that locks it in that it would go to those things in the first place. And government's growing so much already. This is $1 billion every year that the state budget is going up. And so this moved on to the state Senate. The state House passed it. No Republican support on this, thankfully. But this is something that we will see on our ballot come this November.
Unbelievable. Jared Polis just signed a $30.5 billion state budget this week as well. The budget includes $175 million additional for full-day kindergarten, a little bit of money for some transportation here and there. But the fact that it's $30.5 billion this year, and by next year, Michael, it's going to be a $31.5 billion. I'm thinking of these little tax refunds that we might be due. I'm thinking they can live without them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they have a budget that went up $1.6 billion this last year. They did put some money toward transportation, but it's one-time money. It's not long-term money. And so they're deciding to prioritize the budget a certain way. People will say, you know what, you have enough money already. They've rejected these tax increases. But, they're coming back and saying, we want to permanently take away these Tabor refunds. And I think that's a big deal. This is, Ref C happened some years ago, but that was only a 5-year plan. This is permanently. This is saying we're going to trust government. They don't even know how much money it's going to be. And after the oil and gas bill, after, the family leave tax hike that they're going to do, I don't know how much money is even going to be there in terms of refunds. But they're definitely, more is never enough, even though this budget is growing each and every year.
Yeah. Michael Fields is on the hotline here, and glad to have him on the program. Michael, you have a piece linked up at Complete Colorado right now, and it is a piece that's a headline, Colorado's strong economy is in jeopardy with Democrats in control. This is your latest coming out. Talk about the jeopardy we're in under this the reign of Jared Polis in the state legislature under Democratic control.
Well, for a long time, because of Tabor and because of split government, we've had a pretty good economy. We have the number one economy, several rankings, but also we had, a new study just came out that said that we have one of the best places for job seekers in the country. So things have been going pretty well given what we've been doing. Now you have the legislature come in with a radical agenda. I mentioned family leave is $1 billion tax increase that is not going to go to voters. They're using it as a fee. You have the oil and gas bill that is going to put thousands of people out of work, cost billions of dollars in revenue. You have this Tabor assault. You have a lot of different things happening. These regulations, they're doing all this climate change stuff that is going to raise costs. And so you have these regulations, and our economy is not going to stay number one is basically my point. And voters have to educate other people about what's going on. But we're going to be able to see this in the rankings. If 3 years from now we're still number one, great. I'm happy with that. But I don't think that's going to happen. And, this radical agenda with total Democrat control, there is no check on it. And they're just working to get around Tabor. They do fees, enterprises. That makes up $18 billion that isn't even counted under Tabor now. So I'm worried about it. I grew up in Illinois and saw this happen, where they raise taxes and chase businesses and people out of the state. I can see that happening in the next few years here unless there's a change of direction.
You mentioned earlier that all these statewide tax increases we've rejected over and over again at the ballot box, and so leave it to the Democrats of the state legislature. We've spoken. They pass. They're trying to have a little money grab anyway and find a way to keep extra money, even though we've rejected them getting any extra money. It's the same way with the oil and gas here. We rejected Proposition 112. Now they passed Senate Bill 181, which is in effect Proposition 112. It's almost as if Democrats in this state really just duly reject the will of the people, and they're ruling against the will of the people. And the question is, when will those chickens come home to roost? When will the people say enough of this is nonsense?
Well, hopefully soon. I mean, I think you have, the recall election going on up in HD 50. That won't change the makeup of the legislature or anything, but it'll be a message. But I also think ballot issues are going to be happening to reverse some of this bad stuff, like national popular vote, like the oil and gas bill. I hope that this Tabor, refund bill is rejected at the ballot box too. It's going to take a few years to kind of crawl back out of this problem that Republicans have themselves in, but Democrats are definitely helping expedite that, and really, with this overreach, I think these next cycles, it's going to be about, and this is what I talk about in that piece, are you better off than you were 2 or 4 years ago? It's that Reagan quote from 1980 about Jimmy Carter, and people can feel that, and things are going pretty well right now. People, they have decent jobs, but when this oil and gas stuff kicks in, when some of this other economic stuff kicks in, I think there's going to be a shift, and I think that's when, Republicans could capitalize if they run good campaigns.
Michael Fields, I'll link it up at my Facebook page, facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page. Michael Fields, Executive Director of Colorado Rising Action. If folks want to contact you or learn more about Colorado Rising Action, where do they go, Michael?
ColoradoRisingAction.org. We're on Twitter, Facebook. And we have a Tabor coalition, TaborYes.com will give you more information about the attacks on Tabor.
TaborYes.com. Very important. Tabor's under attack. TaborYes.com. Michael Fields, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you coming on the program.